Welcome to APDesign Digital Tools. We just continue on this modeling quest. So the next thing we might want to do is make sure that these two are associated with stone. So change object layer. I did it right before I turned the video on, so it's already there. But you just might want to make sure. Basically, every time I model something, sometimes I remember to kind of click the right one, but oftentimes I've forgotten. So right after I model it, I'll kind of correct that. You don't want to be modeling a bunch of things and have them all in scattered layers. One, it kind of ruins your visualization, and two, it's just bad form. Okay, so the next piece will be this piece, and if we reference the images, we will see that that piece is concrete. So it's this right here. So if that's concrete, let's make sure that our concrete layer is current, and then we'll do the solid planar curve straight. Click that, and then another nice thing happens is that you can click on things that are of that same height, and it'll automatically conform to that height. So that's pretty cool. Alright, so the next piece that we need to draw is probably this section. So what we're going to do is we'll do this in one part. Okay, so what we're going to do is I'm going to hide these objects so I can see this. So if we go to the front view, we'll see that I can't really I can't see that form. Well, maybe I can. I can see the form well enough, because I think what we'll do is we'll have this piece of one thing, and then I just built that piece, so I don't need to build that again. So, alright, let's do it. Go ahead and draw. And remember that when you're in a different view, it automatically builds in a different way. So Y is now up, and then X is left right, but the Y is basically transformed into Z. So you can see it's trying to snap to things. One thing that you might want to do is do what's called project, and what that does is it makes sure that it can snap to things, but is drawing things on the picture plane. So if this is the origin for X, Y, and Z, you see it here. When I hit project, it doesn't matter, like if I'm drawing a polyline, it doesn't matter that I'm snapping to things up here. It's actually drawing things down here on the projected seaplane is what they call it. You guys might have understood it as picture plane when you're in first year. But it's the seaplane. It's basically the plane that is the origin of that view. So yeah, so it doesn't matter, I can snap up here, but it's always drawing down here. And the same would be said if I'm over here trying to snap on front. You can see that on perspective that it's actually drawing back here, even though I'm snapping to something in front. So that can be your best friend, especially when, you know, if I didn't have that on and I started to draw this, I didn't realize I was snapping, and then my next piece would be out here, and then up here. Then you can see that the drawing gets really jacked up very quickly, because it snapped here, but then drew everything else back at that seaplane. So again, we're going to undo that, and we will make sure project is on. And we'll go ahead and draw. So I'm going to draw go ahead and draw this first. I'm going to hold down the shift so I go straight up. And I might just stop there because now I can use basically a mirror command. Now I'm not real happy with where this is, so I may, in fact, let's go ahead and lock that down. I'm going to create a new layer called image, and I'm going to go ahead and change that image onto that layer. I'm going to go and lock it. That means that I can't move it. I can't select it. And that'll keep me from doing something stupid. And I probably should go ahead and do that to this one too. Alright, so now I can't grab that image and move it around. Okay, so I'm not really happy here. I wish it was kind of pulled over. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a little editing. I'm going to use this point on, and I'm going to grab those two things. In Rhino, it's a lot like any other program. When you use the marquee to select things, if you go from left to right, you have to actually contain everything that you're selecting within that rectangle. So it selected everything there. Even though it passed through this thing, it didn't grab it. Now if I go the other direction, it'll be anything that passes through that marquee. So now I passed through that, so it's going to grab that. So when I'm editing these 2 points, I'm going to use that, grab those two things, and then I'm going to move them over just a skosh. Now, typically, I am not drawing from an image, and so I would have a little bit better idea of how to kind of be accurate with this. But I don't have that as an alternative, so right now I'm kind of being a little bit sloppy, I guess is the right word. So now I'm going to use the transform, and I'm just going to mirror this because I know this is the exact same thing on both sides. So I'm just going to mirror that, and you can obviously mirror in any kind of axes, but I'm just going to hold my shift key and go up. So now it's done that, which looks pretty good except for here. Perhaps this thing isn't exactly symmetrical. It looks great except for kind of where this beam lies. Alright, so let's just join those two things. Alright, so it says when I joined it that it's an open curve. What that means is that it's not closed. There's actually openness right here. That's really important because if I was to extrude this and it's not a closed curve, it won't make a solid. It'll actually just make that kind of open surface frame. I think I want to go ahead and make it solid, so I'm going to go ahead and call out closed curve. And when it does that, all it's going to do is draw a line between the two endpoints. So if you don't want a line, you want a kind of more of an arc or something like that, you'd want to draw the arc. But if it really all you want it to do is close it with a line, then I can do that, and it's simple. It looks like I might want to be a little bit more accurate again. So I'm just going to grab those 2 points and bring them up just slightly, bring them to the left just slightly, and that's looking pretty good. Okay, so now we can again go back to kind of creating forms. So I'm going to go back to the perspective view, and I'm going to select that thing, and we're going to move it so that it's in the right place. And since I have project, this is another good reason to have project, because I'm grabbing that corner and I'm wanting to move it to a corner here. If I don't have project on, I'm going to grab that, and then unless I know absolutely, it's hard for me to kind of snap to anything. I'm just going to be kind of very loosely moving it. Now with project, it's projecting down to the seaplane, and then it's also doing that here where I have something to grab a hold of. Alright, so let's go ahead and extrude that. Now it's not, I'm not sure I'm being accurate here. Oh, looks like I lost my concrete form. So this is where the project isn't helping me because it's not extruding upwards, it's always keeping flat, so I turn that off. Now I can go up. Alright, I'm not sure I'm being totally accurate. We might want to look at the other plan. Is it a perfect box? Oh, it looks like it is. Okay, so maybe that's absolutely correct. Very cool. Now, of course, this is a solid box, and we might recall that it's not a solid form. So once again, we probably want to create that. So I'm going to basically hide this object. Here there's a series of other tabs that I haven't talked about. And one of them is visibility, and you can basically turn objects on and off. You can invert the selection, so basically hide everything but the selection. There's a lot of different options. Under standard, it also has that kind of all that other stuff. So essentially, standard gets you all of this, only you have to actually click on the triangle to get to the rest of the stuff. So I'm just going to hide everything. I'm going to hide, I guess I'm going to hide that object. And let's go back to front, and we'll draw then this interior volume. It's probably a good thing for me to use the mirror command because it is a perfect space. And it saves me some drawing, so I'm just going to join that now. Alright, now this will be a little bit tricky because basically I need to now extrude that, and then this will talk about some other things that we've been doing. Now somehow I changed my front view into P-line. Nice. I'm sure that was some silly thing I did. Alright, so let's go back to perspective. And let's put this in the right place on the plan. So again, we're going to grab that, we're going to turn on project, we're going to move it up to this point, and then we're going to move it essentially from here to just inside here, so it looks like 0.67. Okay, so now it's kind of in the right place, and now I'm going to extrude it as a solid all the way to that point there. I'm not sure I actually got that correct. I may want to draw a line so I can be a little bit more accurate. Alright, let's try that again. I'm going to extrude this from there all the way to there. Alright, now we're going to unhide by just right-clicking this. We'll right-click. You can see it says Show Objects. It looks like there's some inaccuracy in something that I've done. So we'll go back. Probably was when I moved it from here. So we'll move it from there forward. I'm doing a bit too much guesstimating here, but since I don't really know the extent of this project, it's hard to do anything else. Okay, so that'll be roughly where it is, and I'll go ahead and show. And now I'll go ahead and turn X-ray on so we can see the two forms inside of one another. And I'm going to do what's called a Boolean. So the Boolean's inside of solid, and it's basically these three commands. It's union, difference, intersection. Union basically merges two forms together. If I merge these two forms, it really wouldn't change the overall form. The interior form is completely interior of the other one. Nothing's sticking out. So union wouldn't really help. But difference will. Basically, it'll basically take out this internal form from the external form. So you click on that, surfaces or polysurface to subtract with. So it's already got the one that I'm using, so now I'm going to subtract with that one. And now nothing done. It's not good. Make sure that the other form is completely inside of the other. Let's try it again. Difference. So this one. And this one. Objects do not intersect. And that is awkward. Alright, real quick. Boolean, as you can see, sometimes it's kind of a pain. It's somehow not understanding that this thing's inside of the other one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fool it. And it's going to mean that I'm going to build it in a little different way. So I'm just going to move the face of this interior form, and I'm just going to make sure that it comes outside of the external form. So now I'll go back to rendered, and let's go ahead and do the Boolean command again. That one, subtract that one. You can see now I have that object completely cleaned out. What I can do is essentially then move this curve set to over here, and now I can do an extrude in the other direction. That bit, that 0.67. It went the wrong way. If I had put a negative on it, it would have been right. So I'm just going to type in 0.67 this way. Alright, so now I have that kind of form. And I can marry this form to this one by doing the union and see what that does. Get rid of that. You see it created something. Do the X-ray just so we can check this, or ghost even. Okay, it looks like I have a actual empty volume inside of it, which is good. Alright, so that's the basic start, and I'll go ahead and stop the movie.